This is a continuation of the video. The Astral Fortress is all around us. I'll get deeper into it. In the conspiracy community nowadays, whether it used to be about 9/11 for many years and now it's more about the flat earth and such things, but whatever topic you're interested in, there's usually one guy who's actually awake, has more advanced senses and insight, and then over 90% of people who simply listen to him don't actually understand what he's talking about, uses his or her thoughts and makes their own videos about it. These are the sheep, and of course they would never call themselves that because everybody else is a sheep, because we believe that 9/11 was an inside job and that makes us special in some way. No, it doesn't. Before you get into any conspiracies, firstly, you should in some way meditate or look into yourself and find out what the human actually is. Sun gaze. Understand how nature works. Then you will understand that there's no good and bad, that there is no such thing as right and wrong as we have been taught. Because if you don't do this, you will learn about the Illuminati and understand everything wrong as they want you to, because they want you to have this religious view of life where there's Satan and they are doing these satanic things, and you will not understand what any of this is about. They want you to believe the opposite of the truth a lot of times. And when somebody will tell you the opposite of what you have been taught, you will think that they are crazy just because they're actually saying the truth, but it will be the opposite. A lot of times the things that they teach are also simply twisted. I can sense through the matrix and comprehend things that people simply do not. Because the bottom line here is you cannot reach nature with unnatural things. And I'll give you some examples in this video. Woo! One of the things which has no use or meaning in nature is language. I made a video about this 4 years ago. I'll link you to it. In modern magic, they actually try to deceive people to use language to cast spells. If you understand anything about nature, you would understand how plain stupid it is. You're beyond being saved if you actually believe that. You would use intent and other natural things to achieve whatever you want. Sacrifice something, but you would not use anything man-made, because words have no meaning in nature, and also not some magic wand if it's man-made, because it probably comes from Hollywood. That's where you got the idea. And whoever writes books to teach you something like that are, as I said, deceiving you on purpose, or they are simply idiots. Some people like to sell books to make money. In nature, it's simple. It's intuitive. We understand what to do. It's simple. That's how life is. To believe something else, you would have to believe that essentially whoever made up the language registered it with God, if you believe in that, or somebody else, something, and then they gave it meaning in nature, so natural entities understand it and can communicate with you, which is so beyond ridiculous that you deserve whatever you're getting. And then some people argue about, and these are the sheep which I meant, when you pray, which I do too, and again it's about intent, when we say the word Amen at the end, where does the word actually come from? What if we are saying it to a different being? Or when I cast a spell, when I use the word I in Latin meant something else? What if I'm saying I thank Lucifer and some shit which has no meaning? Nobody in nature understands what you're saying.
You know, how as you're speaking of these things, they're all tools for the end result, which is the betterment of the being, the opening of your own portal into the universe.
Well, the problem is there's a great deal of hatred against spiritual tradition because of the excesses of many of the traditional, conventional, esoteric religions right now. And a lot of people believe only science has the answers, but that's as dogmatic as the worst of the religions they oppose. So it's necessary to find a balance, because magic, mysticism, all of this are part of nature. They're not separate from nature.
Back when I sungazed many hours a day, I was chanting, making sounds. Maybe it was a natural response to what I was doing, but it was certainly not a man-made language, just to say the obvious. We can technically, as humans, cast spells with our thoughts, but nobody thinks in language. Brainwashing is going on through Hollywood and TV shows. They portray people who read other people's minds as hearing the voices, man-made language. That's impossible. You would not hear anything unnatural, seeing as thoughts are natural. What you would understand, if you could do that, would be somebody's intent, for example. Similar to how when somebody lies, you can tell by their expression that they are lying, whatever language it's in. And if somebody is angry at you, you also will. I'll give you some examples and explain this. If you go to a job interview, you may want to rehearse what you're going to say. I used to work there and there in that year, to the employer. But the language, repeating it in your head, is not a thought. The thought is the action of rehearsing. It's something naturally given to you as a plan, for example, in nature, to kill. Same as if you would have a spear and want to kill some animal, you would have the intent and the images going through your head. And if you would kill the animal, then you would of course not speak Japanese when you would want to offer it to Jesus, because even back when there were no man-made languages, people practiced magic because it's a natural thing. It's always been around, and you do it with natural things. If you don't understand it now, then there's no chance you're going to understand it and continue with useless things. You're wasting your time if you use language or anything man-made in magic.
Even a humanist sitting in this chair.
I don't like humanists any more than Christians.
You don't like humanists either?
Humanists, you have to understand this once and for all. Christians must know. Humanism is based on Christian ethics and ideas. It just doesn't have Christ. But it has the same appalling ideas about equality, love for everybody, indiscriminate love for all living things. And we oppose those ideas.
Altruism, humanitarianism,
Humanism
all that
and Christianity are in bed together. They're the same thing. Humanism and Christianity are in bed together. They're the same thing. They're the same thing.
The sheep get brainwashed to believe that the pineal gland is the seat of the soul, especially the New Agers. If only you would understand that everybody who's awake laughs about you. They want you to dream and sleep. That's the whole point. As I said in the first part, it's the blood. That's why they want you to cook the meat so you don't even get a little bit of it. Human blood is the highest form, especially the virgin blood. Dream about DMT and do nothing. Be a good slave. They are making videos about their spiritual journeys when they are as unconscious as anybody can be. It's an absolute joke. I always laugh about it. But at the same time, it's sad because they believe it. But it still makes it kind of fun. You're no different from Christians who dream about heaven and all that nonsense. And here's the best part. They make videos about astral projection, not realizing that they looked up the tutorial for lucid dreaming and then they make videos about their journeys when they dream. You idiots. These are the same people who worship death by eating a plant-based diet. Blood, organs, and all the other stuff from animals, in that order, are the highest vibrational foods. Plants don't even come close to it, and I shouldn't even have to make a video about this because naturally everybody understands this, but because of the brainwash nowadays, I actually gotta explain to you that the plants are the lowest life force. You could eat 1,000 fruit and not come close to any animals. As I explained in another video, bacteria is what gives us the life, the light. And whether an animal is still breathing or already dead, it's still the same bacteria there in the meat, the blood. And the blood magic is powerful. We can go without a lot of body parts, but without blood, no. If we get stabbed, it's the soul that leaves the body. In Hollywood, of course, they brainwashed us that blood should be associated with pain and death. Although, when somebody is born, it's also there. Also, menstrual blood. If women would drink it, or even men, as they always used to, they wouldn't get gray hair and all the other stuff. Blood pacts have also always been done because they are powerful. They want you to associate all of this stuff with Satanism, even though the people who are drawn to it are just drawn to nature. As you may understand now, one of the things you can use is blood. Another thing which is useless are herbs. This comes from Hollywood again. If you do that, again, you worship death and support the destruction of humanity like plant eaters. When you use blood, it's a sign of power because likely you killed somebody, you want to fight if it's somebody else's blood, and then nature rewards you. Similar to how people used to drink the semen of somebody they killed, the warriors, because they usually had an erection from the excitement, testosterone. Nowadays you would have to pay somebody $1,000 to do that. That's how twisted things have gotten. The reason people use rituals, the tools and symbols, is not because it actually has a meaning in nature, of course. It's because in families they teach it to each other and to the friends. It's the fun part of the practice. Of course, you don't actually achieve anything with that.
We are beasts, and we decide from gut instinct whether we have been wronged or not. Hitler was a masterful black magician, of course. He created a reality. Was it evil? I'm telling you that I don't believe in good and evil, and nor can anyone decide what is good and evil. It's all based on historical and cultural values. You want rules.
No, you do.
You want rules.
No, I'm asking.
Everything changes with cultural tides. Morals change with the weather.
Well,
you
now,
can't say something is good or evil. You can only look at human behavior from a realistic perspective.
well, are you then saying that what Hitler did to 6 million Jews cannot be morally quantified and called evil? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not, nor can any act of any human being or animal be judged good or evil. There is
Do you
no
agree
such
with that,
thing as
Zena?
good or evil.
Yes, I agree.
If Hitler had won, obviously, your school books would say Hitler was good, everything else is evil. There's no such thing as evil. It was a typical act of a human being. And if you want to look at human history from the day that we came from the primordial swamp that creation began in, what you're calling evil is part of human nature.
Nowadays people wear Jesus glasses and Jesus block sit inside a church while Jesus is waiting outside, thinking, why are you all inside? Not looking at me and looking at some man. Why is the symbol of my race on top of the building? That's the whole point of churches, to block you and keep you away from Jesus. That's why it's cold and dark inside. Windows of buildings also have the same Jesus symbol and the rising Jesus in windows and doors. It's always coming in from the outside. You're supposed to believe in this man, same as New Agers are supposed to believe in their drugs and dreaming, so you don't do anything about anything, so you don't create an opposition. That's why it can't even be called a controlled opposition, because it's too much of a joke. To get to heaven, you actually got to be a natural human of exploration and actually go to heaven, quite literally. The Bible is certainly anti-nature, everything about it. So if anything could be called satanic, that would be the ultimate book of Satanism.
What about the millions of people who were killed in Europe, accused of being witches, children and women burnt at the stake, while crowds of good, pious Christians gathered around and watched them burn for a Sunday
evil.
celebration?
I will call that evil.
I won't call it evil. I'll say it's human nature.
Evil. Is murder relative?
Murder is absolutely relative. When I say we, I mean the American government sent our troops to Vietnam to kill people. Was it evil? Were those good murderers? Are there good murderers if they're wearing a soldier's uniform and bad murderers if they're not?
If they were suffering and they were in pain and they were hurting, I reached out to them.
How much clearer do I have to make it? A strong animal does not spend all of their energy and time on earth helping every weak animal. You help those in your own pack, in your own tribe, those who are like you, and those who are not like you and who are not contributing to you, you do not have a responsibility to.
Suddenly, you are the people of the new social order. Describe to me what that social order would be like.
Well, I think it would take on its own momentum. We would have, what we would see is nature taking its course, because that's all we stand for, is to let nature dictate what our actions are.
Natural humans are gonna stay in the human body. Because of our exploration limits, the military bases are all around the so-called heaven, the other realms. The enlightened ones dominate, and that's fine. However, here's my favorite part. All the brainwashed people, the malnourished ones, the vegetarians, the starved ones, who got tricked, the weak ones, they are literally gonna go back, devolve to being plant eaters, such as cows, because they deserve it. It's because they don't appreciate, don't understand the human body, why we are so predatory, and that it's a present actually, because we are able to digest these highest vibrational foods. We are a killer machine. All animals are scared of us. 3 humans can go and 15 lions are gonna run away. It's how it is in nature. The reason I say this is because the only thing that is judged is what is now, not what you learned in your religious brainwash classes about the past, which doesn't exist. It's what I'm talking about. The sheep don't understand anything. They don't understand that there is no such thing as time. So they will believe that their actions have some meaning. The only thing that does is how you develop your body. And this is what gets you to other levels. Pretty simple.